The module Timesheets aims at planning and controlling times linked to people and equipment. Before accessing the facilities of the application themselves in the module menu, let's present some interesting concepts which are important in order to frame the use of timesheets. The module Timesheets, Events and Tasks aims at planning and controlling tasks and times. It applies to many areas of organizations in an integrated way with other modules. Enables the control of the times of people's activities, equipment and interventions on them, as well as of tasks undertaken. Although the focus is on times, expenses and consumptions associated to them can be recorded. Through such planning and control, a better management of resources is achieved, enabling the measurement of productivity, assessment and cost allocation, and billing. With regard to people's times, the information relating to tasks performed by people and their times, expenses and other resources consumed, along with planning, is essential to the management of people and their activities. Enables to get what has been and will be done, how they occupied their time and what's planned. Activities can be analyzed by type, transversally and independently from people, yielding what has been planned and executed along with their respective times. Regarding times of equipment, the equipment may have their times and tasks performed recorded in the system, either in terms of planning or execution. Based on people's time sheets, it's possible to impute people's times to the operation of equipment and thus to the tasks performed by them. Can join expenditure and consumption to equipment. Regarding cost allocation and billing, the information recorded enables cost allocation and billing to third parties. The calculation of the costs to be allocated or billed out includes evaluation of times, related expenditures, and consumptions. The application enables the issuance of documents to support allocation and billing. Let's then access the base menu of the module Timesheets. In the center of the menu are the most used options related to the record of times and the issuance of the main outputs. Here's the option where hours are recorded. Issuance of intervention sheets, intervention reports, and expenditure reports. Then follows imputation documents, invoices. In this section are the timesheets themselves, which aggregate the times related to a person or equipment for a given period of time, and planning, which will not be seen in this video due to time constraints. There are two types of controls. There is a distribution of times per various types of time defined and monthly evolution of times. There is also the possibility of generating specific statistical charts to be obtained for each organization. Recording times of people and equipment is very similar. Each organization defines the various types of hours, times to be used for both people and equipment. For example, for people, there may be billed hours, business hours, administrative hours, training hours, idle hours, and so on. For equipment, there may be production hours, stoppage hours, downtime, maintenance hours, and so forth. Each type may have a different value for the purposes of allocation and/or billing. Let's illustrate this with the recording of people's times. In general, it is the person themselves who enters their times in the system, which are then approved by responsible parties. The fact that the application is web-based is very advantageous, because times may be entered from anywhere at any time. There is also the possibility of automatic inputs based on sensors. Let's see how times are recorded. By selecting the option Time Record, we access the criteria panel and we filter hours of the type F, which is, in this organization, means billed hours. We obtain the listing of such hours, where we highlight the day on which they were performed, August 3rd, 2003, the time period from 9 to 12:30, the type of time, FHC, the description, installation of an electrical grid, the performer, third party and contract, core hours, and points. Such points may serve for several purposes, such as valuation per points, fulfillment of goals, and so on. Let's see how to insert a record. Let's click on this plus sign on the left. And here is the record to be inserted. I can use the data of the record which we clicked on. If I am the employee and these are my records, it is natural that lots of data are reused. The highlights on this record are, in addition to the description, of course, the third party, and the contract under which I am allocating the time. In short, inserting records is usually very simple, and the system enables it to be made even from PDAs and mobile phones, through these specific formats offered by Altoga modules. The most common outputs are intervention sheets, intervention reports, expenditure reports, and allocation documents billing. Once again, we approach them from the perspective of people, although they are also applicable to equipment. An intervention sheet may be issued for each task executed, along with the summary of what has been done and time spent. It is used more often with external customers, not recorded in the system, who have to sign the sheet in order to confirm that the task has been performed in the time period stated on the sheet. Intervention reports, usually on a monthly basis and per contract, summarize the time of the month at issue and are particularly used to be sent to customers not recorded in the system and as evidence attached to invoices. Expenditure reports, usually on a monthly basis too, break down the expenses related to tasks performed by an employee, such as kilometers, miles, taxes, parking, tolls, meals, supplies for tasks, and so on. It is aimed, on one hand, at the breakdown of expenses to be reimbursed to employees, and on the other hand, giving support to accounting so much expenses can be entered or accounted. In many countries, this document has to be signed by the employee for the reimbursement of expenses, so that expenses may be legal and accounted for. Allocation documents invoices are generated in order to be allocated to accounting by means of automatic accounting mechanisms available for documents, and to bill customers if applicable. Let's take a look at these options. Let's consider the intervention sheet and the intervention report. Going back to the list of records we had seen earlier, let's select this record and go to the Jump Prompt box. We can jump to the intervention sheet and print it. As we see, the intervention sheet is assigned to a third party. Highlighted in yellow is the context in which the intervention was made, the dates, and who did it, and where. In the light blue area is the description of the intervention itself. Let's go back to the menu and see a report. We enter the option and ask for the report of hours billed, hours of the type F, of the contract OCX 2002-00004 from August 1st, 2003. OK. And here is the report, also assigned to a third party, along with the summary of interventions and the total of hours. The total hours in the period are 11 hours and a half. Once times are registered, we have many statistical controls to exploit the information. These controls can be oriented to performers, third parties, contracts, and equipment. Let's see, as an example, the evolution of hours per third party. Entering the criteria panel, we ask for data from the year 2003. And end date as 2003-12-31. Let's indicate in this box that we want the system to compare such data with the year before. By clicking on OK, we get the values for the 12 months of 2003. We can see in here that the customer Granimar has hours recorded almost every month in 2003. In blue, for instance, 15 hours were recorded in August, against 3 hours and a half in the year before in green. That is, in 2003 there was an additional 11 hours and a half as displayed in here. These controls in real time are essential to the analysis of activities, to the acknowledgement of what is actually happening, and to the timely triggering of the necessary actions. We have presented in this video the module timesheets, along with the necessary detail for a first assessment on the interest of your organization. This module has a simple implementation procedure in terms of application. The difficulty lies mainly in implementing the registration and control of times themselves, especially the ones related to people. For organizations that do not practice the detailed allocation of time, this is a change that must be carefully handled. With regard to the times of equipment, at least in larger projects, it might be interesting to consider the possibility of some automation in terms of sensors, particularly for controlling production and stoppage times, which are the most common ones. In this context, we remind you that this dialogue can be deepened for us to better analyze your needs and the answers we have to them. We in the network of partners we integrate are fully prepared to listen to and support you.